Ashanti is on a mission to change the way that students interact with their education and the way that schools interact with students. And so I can very honestly say that it is my great honor to introduce to the stage and welcome to the stage Ashanti Branch.
Good afternoon. So in 2004, I was a first-year teacher, and I was failing. So I had gone back to school to become a teacher. I was doing this master's in education, and I'm thinking I know some math. But I got these young men in my class who were really smart. I could see that they were smart, but they were failing my class. They were there every day, on time, doing nothing. And I was confused by that. I was not sure what to do with that information. I felt like something I was doing wrong. Now, if you really knew me at that time, you would know that to make the decision for me to leave engineering to become a teacher was already a stretch. I'd already defied my own personal promise to never be a teacher. And I tell you how that happened because I think it will set the context for what we're going to do today. So I was raised in Oakland, California. I was raised by a single mother on welfare. We were poor. My mom didn't want to be on welfare. 3 months before I was born, my father died. So I showed up on the planet and there was a mess already happening. I mean, if you had a way of handing me a checklist in the womb and said, hey, how do you want this life thing to work out? I would have chosen some different options. I would have chosen to have 2 parents. I would have chosen to live in a community where being smart was cool, where the harder you worked, the better you felt about yourself and others felt about you as well because you were striving for greatness. But instead, I grew up in Oakland, California, where being smart wasn't looked at as so cool. There's plenty of names they'll call you if you try and be too smart. And so I struggled. Not having a father in the home, I was trying to figure it out by myself, and there was plenty of men in the community who had advice for me. How you should act, how you should be. How do you show how strong you are, how tough you are. And so when I got my act together in middle school, it was because of a teacher who I liked really a lot. Until this one day she gave me detention. And I was like, I'm never speaking to her again. And so I come to detention, and she's talking at me for about a half an hour, and I'm not listening to any of it because I'm not talking to her nor listening to her. But one sentence I did hear. And she started the sentence off with I know you're sad. And the only reason I listened was because I knew that in Oakland, as a black male, there's one thing you cannot be. You can't be afraid and you can't be sad. So I was ready to come back at her and be like, and then she finished. She said, I know you're sad that your father died before you were born. And I was ready to, you're talking about my family now. I'm getting a little bit more angry. And then she continued. She said, I know you're sad that your dad died before you were born. But life doesn't give us what we want. Life gives us what we get. And you got to make the most out of it. And that sentence, as a 8th grader, changed my life. Instead of using my father's death as a reason to be this angry little young man, I felt justified in my anger. I used that as the reason that I should be striving for better because I want him to be proud wherever he's at. I want him to be able to look and say, that's my son. My context changed that day. And I don't know if it was the next day or the next week, but everything changed. Teachers were confused. They were like, hey, you're paying attention. You're doing work. Because it was never that I couldn't do the work. I didn't care about the work. I didn't care about you, teacher. I didn't care about your history or your science or your whatever. I didn't care about anything because I barely cared about myself. And so when I got my act together, I went to high school on track, on the way to college. I tried to join this program called Upward Bound. They said, we're going to help first-generation kids get to college. I said, I'm joining. Applied the first day. The lady called me in the office. She said, I got bad news. She said, you don't qualify. I said, of course I do. We're poor. And I want to go to college. She said, but the problem is your mom went to college. I said, no, my mom didn't go to college because we're poor. You see these shoes? You see the holes in these shoes? There's no way my mom went to college. She said, your mom's a teacher. What? You mean my mom paid for college for us to be this broke? Who does that? So I knew two things that day was going to happen. One, I was going to have a talk with my mom about her career choices. That was the first talk. And then the two, I was going to write my own manifesto that Ashanti Branch will never, ever be a teacher. And so imagine the shock of 2004. I'm in this classroom. I've been working all year, and these young men are not passing my class. Imagine my confusion because I had become an engineer to make a lot of money. And I was making a lot of money, and I was enjoying the money. I wasn't enjoying the work. I wasn't happy. Like I said, you go to college, get a good job, make a lot of money, live happily ever after. And it wasn't happening. I was not happy. And so I'm sitting there in this classroom trying to figure out why these young men are not passing my class. Also, I'm trying to figure out how am I going to pay all these bills with this check that comes once a month. That's 2/3 smaller than the check I used to make. Like I'm feeling the pain of like this decision I made to follow my heart. Do you know that sometimes the heart can hurt? Like I'm not sure why you are in education. Like I'm not sure if like someone told you you should be in education, or if something like inside of you called you to education. I'm not sure why you're here. I know for a fact that I, in my own plan, was never going to be in education. And something called me to this work. And so as an educator, I'm in this classroom. These young men are not passing. I'm trying to figure out what do I do. So I said, look, let me just go to the source. I went to all my mentors and master teachers and books, and none of them were giving me answers that was working in my classroom. So I said, let me go to the source. So I invited a group of young men to my class at lunch, and I said, look, I'm going to buy you lunch once a week. In exchange for lunch, I want you to teach me how to be a better teacher. Like, tell me what I'm doing wrong. I'll fix it. If it's fixable, I'll fix it. Because I know the math. And I love this work. And I love you. Like, I'm here for you. I'm here for you to have success so that you can choose what you want to do in the future. So you don't get stuck with whatever options are left. I want you to have choices. And in that space, these young men began to talk about, it's not cool to be smart. I'm going to be no nerd, no geek, no teacher's pet. Like, they were clear that to show how smart they may think they were or they could have been was to be in danger, was to be treated in a different way that they wanted to treat because they wanted to feel cool. And so when the Ever Forward Club started, it was really an opportunity to talk about these issues, to talk about what was going on and how to help them break through. So I got this club started, right? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a teacher. I'm just trying to help these kids pass algebra because you know algebra is a gatekeeper, right? Like if you don't pass algebra, you don't graduate high school. So maybe your 13-year-old self doesn't care about algebra, but your 18-year-old self will be pissed at your 13-year-old self for not caring about algebra because it will stop you from walking across that stage. And so we started meeting regularly, and the club started growing, and I didn't know what I was doing, but I did know that something was happening in that space. And so I'm going to fast forward a lot of the story. So that was 2004 or 5 when the program first started. We grew really fast. In 2014, I was back. I taught for 11 years, became a vice principal at my alma mater, Fremont High School in Oakland, California. Struggling. I was a dean. Like, I see all the students who are in trouble because they all get referred out. They're with advisory time. They're not in advisory. They're running around campus. I'm like, how are you failing advisory? What's the problem here? And so I brought these young men in, and we said, we're going to work together. I'm going to be your advisor, and you better be on time. And that program began to grow, and a documentary crew came in and filmed us. And so that's how we ended up in the documentary, The Mask You Live In. And so 2015, January, Sundance, the documentary releases. I get the privilege of going to Sundance with the Representation Project for this documentary. In March, in Oakland, we're gonna have a screening, Ever Forward. We're gonna do a fundraiser. I sent the email out to everybody. I invited everybody. And so on this day that the screening was gonna happen, March the 4th, 2015, I was at the office just to pick up some stuff, and I was leaving. And somebody called me on the radio and said, hey, a young man wants to see you. I said, I'm actually leaving. He said it's kind of important. I said, all right, send him back. So he comes back and he hands me a letter. I'm like, well, to have a middle school student hand me a letter, that's pretty interesting. And I like letters, so I'm gonna stop and read it. He said, well, I'll let you read it and I'll go back to class. I said, well, no, you're already here. Let me read it. So he says this: Dear Mom, Mr. Branch, and family, I'm planning to kill myself today, tomorrow, or the next day. I've already been studying how I was going to commit suicide. First, I was going to hang myself. But somebody told me there's a way to do it where I don't feel any pain. And then he talks about how he was planning to do it. And there's a sentence there where he says, I feel like I don't fit in this world. Now, I'm not sure about you. I'm not sure why you became an educator. I'm also not sure if you've ever had something that was clearly defining why you did something. Like when I struggled at the end of the month to pay the bills, that was not fun. I was not happy about that. When I struggled to talk to my friends and go out to the bachelor parties and the parties that they were going to because my income was very different than my other engineer friends' income, that was not fun. And sometimes I question, well, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? But by the heart of the work, by this day, I was clear. This is why I was in this work. The journey that I had taken through being a teacher for 11 years and going into administration, when this young man walked to my office, I didn't know what he was coming to do. He was not an Ever Forward. He was not a member of our club. He was just a young man at my school who I held space for. And he brought that letter. And I want to let you know that was a hard day. So I sat him down. I said, listen, this is going to be a hard day, but we're going to get through it together. Now, I went through a lot of administration schools, a lot of trainings. I didn't know what to do. Okay, let me see. I'm going to call somebody. I had no idea what to do. So I went over to the school psychologist. I said, I need to interrupt you. I need to interrupt your session. It's urgent. What do I do? She gave me this checklist. I come back. I'm trying to go through this checklist. I'm still trying to figure it out myself. And I just want you to know that day, I feel it like it was just a few minutes ago, like it was yesterday. And so when we talk about taking off the mask with the young men who come into Ever Forward Club, like with the young men who I encounter at a school that I work at, it's an opportunity for them to say, here is what I'm showing the world who I am. This is who I am. This is what I'm about. But we also give them a chance to really talk about the stuff that we normally don't get to talk about. And so in order to really have you to understand a little bit more of how this works, we're going to go through an experience today. And so I'm going to need some help. And we got to do this next part pretty fast because I got to get through 2 more parts before I get you out of here on time. And so if you're on the end of the row, if you can look under your chair, I don't know which side the ends are, but if you look under your chair, there's markers and some paper. And so what I need you to do is I need you to pass down markers and paper. You may have a pen. You could just take out your own pen. We don't have enough markers really for everyone, but if you need one, please take one. And we're going to do this really quick. If you're in the breakout room, there's paper there for you, and there's also markers, so you can go ahead and pass those out now. And I need you to do this part pretty quickly, so I'm going to give you about 1 minute to get everybody a piece of paper and a marker. We have some extra paper if you need some, but I think. Okay, so I think we should all have paper and markers. Hopefully you do. So when we think about a mask, when we have the idea of what masks are for and why people use masks and what we use them for, can a couple of people just yell out, what are the purpose of masks? Hide, disguise, to convey, to entertain, to disappear, to protect, to pretend, to represent, become someone else. Those are all great answers. I was working with an 8-year-old a couple of months ago who was going through a lot of stuff, and I asked him, hey, what are the purpose of a mask for? And he said, to scare people. I said, anything else? He said, no. I said, great. So for all the reasons that masks exist, for all the reasons, and if you're sitting by somebody you know really well, I'm going to ask you to just kind of keep your paper protected from them for a second. Like just keep it, like, and I'm going to ask you not to look at their paper. This is like one of those things that we ask you to do. It won't make sense until later, but it will make sense. And so on the front of this piece of paper, whatever side you want to be the front, I want you to draw a mask. And after you draw the mask, just turn the paper over. So on that paper, draw a mask. Whatever size you draw is perfect. Whatever direction you draw it on is it perfect. Whatever you draw is perfect. Draw a mask, and then turn the paper over. And if you're an artist, you're not going to like me too much because this is going to be not your masterpiece mask. So you got about a minute. Once you draw it, turn the paper over. So you get about 10 more seconds, 15 more seconds. Okay, so you can keep drawing if you're drawing. We're just going to get to the next part. Whatever you drew on that paper, I want you to think of that mask as a representation of you. So I want you to imagine, your mind said mask, okay, and you began to send a message to your hand to draw a mask. And so whatever you drew, like, it's a representation of you. Got that? Okay. You got that? Okay, good, good. So on the front of the mask, I want you to write 3 words that represent the qualities and characteristics that you gladly let the world see about you. What are 3 qualities or characteristics that you gladly let people see? And once you write those 3 words on the front of the mask, on the front of the mask, turn the mask back over. So on the front of the mask, write 3 words, qualities, characteristics that when you leave your house every day to go to your work, school, sports, play, whatever you do, I want you to write the 3 characteristics or qualities that you gladly let people see about you. And then turn the mask back over. Okay, so imagine that, like the mass representation of you, 3 words, my qualities, characteristics I'm gladly letting the world see, right? Now this part is where it gets a little trickier, right? Now we're talking about the back of the mask. We're talking about the range of things that we don't really let people see. Now, I want you to think of the back as a spectrum, right? So from one end of the spectrum is, I don't really talk about these things because people don't talk about them to me, Like no one ever brings it up, so it just never comes up. So you got one side of the mask that's like, this back side that's like, well, I don't talk about it because no one talks about it to me. And then you may have the other side of the mask that's like, I don't talk about it, ever. People bring it up, I leave the room, people say something about it, I'm gonna change the subject, like I just don't talk about it. So you got a range of things that you could think about, of the things you normally don't talk about, the qualities and characteristics of yourself that you normally don't talk about. But wherever you feel comfort right now, I want you to write 3 things on the back of the mask that are those things that you normally don't talk about. Write 3 of them, and I want you to ball the paper up. 3 characteristics, qualities of things you normally don't talk about. Write those on the back of the mask, and then I want you to ball the paper up. I do know that the back is a little sometimes trickier. But participate at the level that you feel you can. Write those 3 words. And wherever you have right now, I'm going to have you to stand up, put your marker down. Now, so I'm going to say that this may be different than something you've ever seen before, so just prepare yourself, okay? So, in your hand, I want you to imagine that San Diego has kind of transformed climate-wise to like Siberia. And in your hand, you have a snowball. Now, here's how we're going to split the room, because we got a really interesting like situation here. So those in the breakout room, you're going to split half and half in the room. So you're going to face each other. So that's in the breakout room in the gym. So in here, I think we got about half, maybe around right here. So how about half of you just start facing that way, and the other half start facing this way? Okay. Those of you up top, those of you in the back row back there, I want you to like, how about you all? How about you face up that way? How about you face up that way? And you up there, you're going to face down that way. It's going to work. Trust me. It's going to work. I've been planning this out for the last 10 hours. So outside, you all are going to split in half, and you're going to face each other. I don't know how you're going to do it, but you're going to face each other. Just don't let the papers go off into the street, okay? All right. Now, it's going to be a snow fight in here. But you only get one throw. You only get one throw. Now, if you're facing each other right here, do not hit the person in front of you, okay? So your ultimate goal is to probably hit somebody way over there, right? And they're not going to know it's coming, but it's going to come. And so, let me say this. This is meant to be kind of fun. So if you're the kind of person who doesn't do fun, you can sit down. You can sit down, and it's okay. We totally understand, and there's no judgment here. So, but I just want you to know that you may get hit with a fake snowball, and hopefully it won't hurt, okay? Gravity won't have enough room to pull it down too fast. At least that's what I tell myself. So up there, you all are gonna, I'm not sure how you're gonna throw. So, you all are underneath over there. Okay, I got it. You all underneath over there, you're gonna throw them out this way. Your section over here, you're gonna throw them up that way. So that section over there, face up that way. This is gonna work. It's gonna work. And so we have some volunteers, our students, volunteers, they're going to go and help pick up stray snowballs, and we'll make sure everyone is going to work. It's going to work. So I'm going to count down. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Oh, you thought you were going to look? Oh, I forgot to tell you that part. So you have your eyes closed. And when I count to 3, I'm going to count down from 3 to 1, and I'm going to say, snow fight is on, and then you just let the snow, then open your eyes. Then open your eyes, and then I don't want you to hit anybody in the face, and then I want you to throw the snowball. It's a lot of instructions, but I think it's going to be creative, so just trust it. So I'm going to count down, 3 to 1, then I'm going to say snowball fight's on, and then you let it rip, okay? So here we go. 3, 2, 1, snow fight's on. Oh, nice, nice. That's awesome. Okay, now I imagine that our group up top didn't get too many, okay? So we're gonna have some volunteers start collecting some and bring them up to you. No, you need them up top. Up top, you need them. You're supposed to have them. So you're supposed to have them. Okay, so here's what you got to do. Everyone needs to get a snowball and then have a seat. And find if there's one by your feet, pick it up. I know it's gonna work. It's like, so if there's any extras near where you are, if there's any extras, throw them this way, put them in the aisle, but do not open it, do not open it, do not open it, do not open it, do not open it. So everyone should have one. I work this into my time. So who does not have one? If you don't have one, stay standing, and we got plenty of them. So if you got extras, you can throw them up to the stage, or you can, all the extras, there's extras everywhere. If you got extras under your feet, look under your feet. Everyone in the breakout room, hopefully you already have yours. Okay. Oh, nice throw. You almost had it. So, any others on your feet? You got a mixing one? I got extra. There's extra. Some people over here standing, they don't have one. Hey, you have extra? That's extra. If you have extra, can you put your hand in the air? If you have extra, we got about 17 people upstairs who needs one. Extra, if you have extras by your feet, back there behind you. Extras. Extras. We have another extra right here. I'll take it. You can just throw it to me, and somebody will come and get it. Awesome. Oh, nice. You hit 3 people with that one hit. That was beautiful. That was fantastic. We planned it that way. Another extra right here. Oh, my brother. Thank you so much. Who else needs one? Who else? Right here. Oh, yeah. If you don't have one, you should be standing so we can see you. But she needs one right there. Beautiful. Fantastic. I think we're good. We did it a little less time than I had planned. Awesome. Okay. I feel exhausted. I don't know about you, but take a deep breath. Okay. Okay. So this is important right now. Okay. What you have, hopefully the breakout room, hopefully you're all good because at the time we're about to start. So what you have in your hand is a gift from someone here in the room, okay? It's a gift because someone showed up and they participated a little bit. Like, let's say that when you open this paper, it's blank. That means someone showed up, they just said, I'm gonna just ball it up, I'm not doing none of this stuff, I don't know what he's talking about, I'm gonna ball it up, and I'm gonna hit somebody with it. They at least participated a little bit. Like, has any of you ever got up in the morning to go somewhere, or whatever it was, and you're just like, I don't really want to go. I just don't want to go. Yeah. So I want you to know that one of my mentors told me that 98% of success is just showing up. Now, maybe the book you read said 92% or 84%, 75%, right? Whatever, if you don't show up, you can imagine that it'll be hard to get something. So first of all, the fact that you have the ball in your hand, that is the gift from somebody who showed up today. Now, the second part is maybe you open it and there's nothing on it. You can't read it. You're not supposed to read it. Maybe it's blank. It's supposed to be blank. Maybe you somehow magically got your own. You're supposed to get your own. Whatever happens inside is extra because you already are holding the gift. Like, we've done this workshop with about 10,000 people in the last 2 years. And sometimes people will be upset. They'll be like, I can't read it. I can't read what it says. You're not supposed to read what it says. And so I want you to take that the gift is already in your hand. And the people who stayed here today, who made it work that they could be here, thank you. And so what I need you to do carefully, is to open the mask. And do not talk about it with your neighbor, please. If you're in the other room, carefully open the masks and just take a look at it. Just take it in. Let's take a deep breath. And because we already did a lot of moving around, my time is getting cut a little short, so I need some help. So I need about 10, maybe 15 people just to stand who are willing to read one word from the front. So we'll only be able to do it here in the main station, but just stand and read one word from the front. I don't know if I can do that. It's gonna take too much time. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna have you just read it loud, and I'm gonna repeat what you said. So just, if you stand now, just start standing till we have about 15. If you feel called to stand, we need to have 15 people stand to read from the front. Maybe a few more, a couple more. Okay, that looks good. That looks good. Okay, so I'm gonna start on this side and just read it loud, and I'll repeat it so that everyone can hear it. One word from the front. Oh, you ready? You're standing too? Yeah, brother, go ahead. Serious. Thoughtful, loyal, naturalist, optimistic, sensitive, compassionate, enthusiasm, humorous, loving, empathetic, confident, smart, curious, active, listener, adventurous, caring. Thank you. Take a deep breath. Like maybe you experienced some of those qualities here in the last couple of days. Caring, creative. You may have heard some of those and said, "Oh, that I recognize that one," or that's on my paper also. Like sometimes we go to workshops in closer sections or professional developments, and we ask people, "Hey, do you recognize those qualities?" And they'll say, "Not really." I mean, you all work together. You don't recognize the qualities that people say they show? Can you imagine it's possible to be showing something that people aren't getting? It's a tricky question, maybe. I'm going to ask the question a different way. Has anybody here been misunderstood? Like you thought you were being helpful, you thought we were being caring, you thought we were being supportive, and it got mistaken for something else? Yeah. Sometimes it's not seen the way we may think we're delivering it. Okay. Let's turn the mask over. Now maybe you found this part hard to write. You may find it hard to hear. But I do need a couple of people to stand who are willing to read. I need about 15 people to stand and read a word from the back of the mask. Just keep standing, keep standing. Okay, I think we're good. Beautiful, great, awesome, thank you. So let's start from this side this time. And I'll just repeat it so that everyone can hear it, okay? Shy. Selfish. My sexual orientation. Love. Cynical. Fear. Unfunny. I'm a gay man. Self-doubt. Anger. Financially scared. I saw you, brother. Exhausted. Addicted. Depression. No self-worth. Judgmental. Take a breath. Like I'm not sure like what's happening in your body right now, in your mind, in your heart right now. But if you're a feeling person, there's some real stuff just happened. As educators, if we are there to help support our youth in doing deep learning and growth and development, we need to be taking care of ourselves too. We need to have environments that we can work in and be supported in, where we recognize that we're not alone. That if I'm struggling in my classroom with my curriculum and I'm struggling with some other stuff, like who do I talk to about the real stuff? Like there's probably plenty of people who you can talk to about the curriculum stuff, but what do you talk about the stuff that you try and put in the glove compartment before you get out of the car? Or you try and leave in your backpack before you go into the classroom? Like who do you talk about that stuff to? And if as adults, we have so many things that we don't talk about, imagine what these young people are dealing with. And they come to our class and they're funny and silly and happy and they're trying to pretend that everything's good. Hey, I'm funny, I'm happy, I'm doing great. And we may read them for their mask. We may read them for what they let us see. And we may never ask what's going on for real. But what we find in this work, when we work with adults, we find, and we're still collecting more data from all of our workshops, that adults, those who on the outside say that they're happy, of the ones who say they're happy, 7 out of 10 of them said that actually they don't talk about the fact that they're actually sad, afraid, and stressed. 70%. Now, when we think about the younger people, when we talk about our students who come to school, hey, I'm showing everybody what they need to see so they don't feel sorry for me, they don't pity me, they don't make fun of me, they don't treat me badly. Like for the young people who say that they show the world they're happy, who have less practice of hiding it. 9 out of 10 of them said they actually don't talk about the fact that they're sad, afraid, and stressed. So when I sat there in that classroom and I was trying to be this educator who was supporting these students, and I'm like, why are you not learning from me? Why are you're here every day? You're on time. What's the problem? What am I missing? And it wasn't until I went to the source and said to them, help me figure this out. Because I think that you can do this work. I need to know what I need to do better to help you get to the work. That's been the work we've been doing at Ever Forward. That's been the work we've been trying to support young people with. And right now with our program is focused on our young men's program, young men all over the Bay Area. And when they do this workshop, they're saying the similar things that you read off. They're saying they're feeling the same stuff that they got to hide behind the mask. So, this next part. So, that young man came in my office March the 4th, 2015. He went away for a couple of weeks. He did come back. We checked in whenever he needed to check in with me. As we got closer to the end of the school year, one day he came looking for me, and when I got back to the office, he wasn't there, so I kind of started to freak out. So I tried to track him down. When I found him, he handed me this letter. Thank you, letter to Mr. Branch. Dear Mr. Branch, I want to thank you for being there for me. If it wasn't for you, I probably wouldn't. So I want you to know that whatever reason you got in this work, whatever the reason was that you decided to say, I'm going to take on this job that is not easy work. Like I took on this work where I sometimes don't know if it's working or not. I want you to know that if you're in it because you were called to it, just keep going. Find that place where you can help deal with some of your stuff. So when the young people are coming with their stuff, you're not pushing back against them. Because they're going to come with their masks. They're going to come showing up with their funny, silly, goofy, uncaring about your subject math, because I know that young man. But there was so much that was going on beneath the surface that you would never know. And so with this young man who was not in Ever Forward, I want to tell you about a young man who was in Ever Forward. And so, and I think it's going to be better for him to tell part of it himself. And so there's going to be 3 clips you're going to watch. And here's the first one. This is Lorenzo Cooper, who joined the Ever Forward Club.
One point in my life, my parents were like so in their own worlds that I had to go 3 weeks with one outfit. I literally had one pair of drawers, one pair of jeans, one shirt, and one pair of socks that I used to wash out in the sink every single day. I remember this very vividly. I was 11 years old. I knew that I would not be socially accepted anywhere with only one outfit, with only one article of clothing. Really, God accepts you for who you are, and I felt as if Branch accepted me for who I was, no matter the dirt, the grimy, however bad the situation got. Branch was like, listen, you're my little dude. Like, I'm not gonna let nothing happen to you. I'm not gonna let you go hungry. Definitely not gonna let you go with one outfit again. And he just always been that person. I literally had never been out of the city of Oakland at the time. My first trip out, I went to college at 13, 14 years old, and I kind of just fell in love. Like, man, this is cool. This is like, people actually want to be here. So like, maybe I should start looking at school differently because of this. Like, this seems like a reward to me to be able to pick and choose your classes. I was like excited. The reason why I remember it so vividly was after we left the college, we went to the beach. Branch kind of set the scene of just like, yeah, we're just gonna take this time to relax your mind, like just look at the ocean waves. And for some reason, like, I don't know what it was about it, I just like start crying. Like I don't know. Like, I was just thinking about all the stuff that was going on, and then I just so happened to look around me, and other people were crying too. Like, everybody was just like, man, like they took the time to reflect. I'm thinking grand scale. Why should someone support Ever Forward Club, like actually be willing to donate to Ever Forward Club? It's because there's not many other clubs that are actually like tending to the emotional needs of students. Like, a lot of these programs out there are just simply like academic, like, look, we're going to get your grades up, and we're going to do this, we're going to do that. There's not another club out there that's going to say, hey, how you doing at home? Like, is everything okay? Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you? Hey, and if you're anywhere below a 5, like, what can we do to help you? Like, a lot of people don't even get that at home. So if I'm asking someone to support to the Ever Forward Club, I'm asking to support their child in a way that they possibly can, or to support their student in the way that they possibly can, because the Ever Forward Club isn't just like beneficial to students, it's beneficial to teachers too, because if you have a super knucklehead in your class, right? Only reason he's being a knucklehead is because he's not getting the attention at home, or like he just doesn't feel like he has any type of place to express himself. And that's why we reach out to those students who aren't doing so well academically, because those are the ones who usually have the emotional baggage. So if you have one of those kids, the Ever Forward Club helps you better tend to those children, because you have a better understanding of what they're going through, and they have an outlet to get everything off of their chest that they would love to get off. And that way they're not coming to your classroom ready to explode.
So that's Lorenzo. And so you imagine, like, as a director of this program, I would be really happy. Like, that was our testimonial video for this dinner. I was like, that was great. And it could stop there, but it didn't. So Lorenzo became a mentor for Ever Forward. What you'll see from the left to right, you see 4 young men on the left. That's Noah, Mario, Devin, and Dana. And then on the end over here is Christian. So those are in his club. So this was our college tour 2 years ago. And it was his first time bringing his own students to the club, to the college tour. last year, we were able to capture some footage, so I want you to see the second part. This is Lorenzo.
Day 3. My name is Lorenzo Cooper, mentor for Washington Manor and the Reach facilities. I got about 20 students this time. Last year I only took 5. It's been a wild ride. It's my first time really chaperoning. It's 43 students, one of our biggest college tours ever, and it's just like, sometimes it's overwhelming, but then again, it's just like the best feeling because I see my progression, I see the work that we're putting in, I see it manifesting in the youth, and it's an amazing experience to take them out of the environment that they're usually in and to show them something different.
Feeling good. I'm excited, man. I'm excited to be out here with these kids. I'm excited to, show them out here, show them what it could be like. So I'm enjoying it so far. 3 days, it's been good to me.
It's day 3. We're at UCLA, checking it, exploring it out.
So because I'm running out of time, I would show you that. I'll show you more of it, but so I want you to see that Lorenzo came to Ever Forward as a member, and then he came back as a mentor. Like he said, it helped me, and so now I think I feel the need to be able to help somebody else, some others. But it goes a little further. So last year, Lorenzo I had the privilege of having him on stage with me at Wisdom 2.0. It's a conference in the Bay Area, a big conference, 2,000 people, 3,000, and he got to be on stage with me. That was 2016. This year, 2017, you're gonna see on stage with me maybe some familiar faces.
My name is Dana Williams. I am 14. I go to San Lorenzo High, and I'm in the 9th grade. I started this program like 3.5 years ago, almost 4, at Reach Ashland Youth Center. I was asked to come by Lorenzo, my mentor. He showed me what AFC could do, so I tried it, and this is what happened.
Hi everybody, my name is Christian Green. I've been at Ever Forward Club for about 3 years now, but I attend San Lorenzo High School. And the reason why I keep coming back to EFC is because like they can offer a safe space for me and stuff, like where I can open up if I'm feeling angry and stuff. But what keeps me coming back is like we go on trips and like he teach me how to speak to people and like how to approach people, and that's one of the reasons why I came.
My name is Deshaun Smith. I attend San Lorenzo High School. I'm a junior and I'm 16 years old. I started the Ever Forward Club about 2 years ago. Started off, I was walking into the Reach Center, I smelled food. I was starving that day. So so I walked in, I saw they had some Domino's pizza. I was like, all right, let me see what they about. But anyways, get back on track. When the meeting started, I felt something I never felt before. And, I felt that I was heard. No, you can't go onto the street and, talk to anybody else about your problems the way you could in the Ever Forward Club. My mentor Lorenzo used to help me a lot to, experience new things and just become the young man that I feel like, I want to be, to not be the stereotype that I have above my head, to not own up to my responsibilities that my mother shows me that I should. I appreciate the Ever Forward Club and appreciate everything they've done for me.
So those three young men that spoke, those are all in Lorenzo's club. And through the work, through just giving, just trying to provide a space for them to do some of that work, they had the opportunity to go with me to present at Harvard last, where am I at? Oh, I see. Oh, it was like, I saw myself moving and I wasn't moving. Sorry, I was getting confused. We presented at Harvard University a couple of weeks ago, and we were invited to the Bronx International School to present the Taking Off the Mask workshop. And so what I want to read really quick before, as I'm closing, because I'm pretty much done. So there's a quote in the front of your booklet, and it says, it's by Paulo Freire, right? It says, "The instance that the oppressed engage in reflection on their concrete situation is not a call to armchair revolution. On the contrary, reflection, true reflection, leads to action." And so our work in Ever Forward is helping our young men reflect on where they are, where they want to be, and helping them find action and giving them tools and opportunities so that they can show others what is possible if they're cared about, if they're supported. And so as I close, I have a next step and a question for you, because you can help us. So we have a big goal about to launch in Ever Forward, like starting tomorrow. Basically, you all started with it today, and it's going to continue until the end of May. We are going to collect around the world 100,000 masks. So with the masks that are here, and at the minute I'm going to ask you to pass them all toward to the end or to the front so we can collect them, but don't do it yet because I don't want the noise yet. But I just want to tell you what's about to happen. So these are being printed right now, and they're about to launch. So these are going to be their own 4x6 cards. They are, we have connections right now in Canada, in India, in Mexico, and in Bermuda. And so maybe you have some ideas. Maybe you got some thoughts. Like around the world, people are going to be making masks, and we're going to be collecting them. And I don't have all the answers how it's going to happen yet. I just know I have the idea. But I'm sure that in this room with thousands of years of experience, that you have some ideas on how we can make this a reality. And so I'm going to ask you that if you have an idea, if you have a suggestion for somebody we should connect with, to tweet us at Ever Forward Club. Give us some ideas, some suggestions. Join us along this journey of this next move in Ever Forward as we work really hard to supporting not only our young men, but our educators, our parents, all over the country. And so I thank you for taking the time to be here today. And I'm hoping that there's a quote that I want to leave you with by a mentor of mine from afar, Howard Thurman. And Howard Thurman said, don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do that. Because what the world needs is more people who have come alive. Thank you. Thank you.